Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la sección mexicana. My name is Adrian, joining me once again my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man?
Hey, dude, it's Monday. I'm all sore. Everything hurts from my abdomen and below. That Sunday pickup match was, yeah. It's been a while since I played soccer, and I just forgot how much of your core you need to play that sport. And everything's hurting, so I'm taking a rest day today. Yeah.
There you go, man. Necessary sometimes. But man, we're here to discuss, everyone's favorite league, the league with a lot of faults, but that we still love to watch every week. Liga MX is back. Jornada 1, the first week, has concluded this weekend. And this is our new segment here on Puro Pinche Gol, where we're going to, at the end of each jornada, kind of discuss, what happened during that week in Liga MX. Discuss the top matches of the week, any big, injuries or situations that happened around the league, any big upsets, and just kind of go through the table, who's the leading goal scorer, etc. Just kind of do an overview of Liga MX as the season goes by. We know a lot of you guys are fans of the league, so we wanted to go ahead and make this segment. But Adrian, man, let's get into it, man. What was the top match of this week that people should have looked out for and was a good one to watch?
Yeah, so we have prepared this for this weekly recap. Three different top matches that everyone should have watched, or at least should be keeping an eye on. The first one that we're going to discuss is San Luis versus America. San Luis ultimately won 2-1 against el bicampeón de la bendita Liga MX. And yeah, man, it was an interesting match. I was able to watch it, and I say able because there's a lot of soccer matches happening all this summer, right? And I'm having a serious case of overload. But I was able to sit down and watch the first match of Liga MX for this Apertura season. The cool thing about this is that right out of the bat, at minute 5, if I'm not mistaken, America scored the first goal. 2 minutes after, San Luis tied it, and that set the tone for the rest of the match. I really thought it was going to be a back and forth match after those two quick goals, but everything kind of settled down. America took pretty much the possession of the ball throughout the entire match, and San Luis had an opening on the minute 50 and pretty much a goal, dude. And that's the end of that was pretty much the end of the match, if you ask me. After the 15 minutes, I think we all realized that America is still lacking some of their key players like Sebastian Cáceres, Israel Reyes, Igor Limnovsky, so on and so forth. So it's not an excuse for El Bicampeón of Liga MX, but we also have to remember that when Jardine started as the coach of America, he also lost against Bravos de Ciudad Juárez, I think 3-2 on the first match. So it's Jornada Uno. Doesn't really mean a lot, but at the same time, it's like we expect more from El Bicampeón, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 5th-minute goal from Henry Martin there that was sorely missed by Mexico at the Copa America. He scored in 5 minutes, and he also scored in that Campeón de Campeones Cup against Tigres a week ago. But yeah, ultimately, like you said, San Luis with a doblete from Mateo Klimowicz was kind of the one that won it, right? The German international. Well, I guess he played for the youth league teams in Germany. Mm-hmm. But what caught my eye in this match was due to America's lack of players, due to being out for Copa America, etc. They were able to give the chance to a lot of young guys, specifically the 16-year-old Diego Reyes, who was wearing number 303 on this match, got to come in and get some minutes. So one to watch, I guess, and it was cool to see at least another youngster get a chance to play and make their debut in Liga MX.
I'm still surprised to see those big numbers on some of these players. I remember back in the day, like back in the early 2000s, Liga MX had this rule where you were not allowed to use numbers up to 100, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Up to 99 was the big one.
And I think Bofo was wearing 99 and
something like that, yeah.
Exactly. So we saw a lot of 30s and 40s. Yeah. Exactly. And he was like a kind of a rebel wearing that. And nowadays you have 158. You just look at Pachuca's roster. It's plagued with nothing but like 3-digit numbers and whatever. So it's just funny to continue to see that. But one quick factoid about this match between Atlético San Luis and America is that I was looking on the head-to-head, and this is the 5th time in Atlético San Luis history, not San Luis as a team or as a franchise in Liga MX, but the 5th match between 2019, which is the inception of this Atlético San Luis, in Liga MX. This is the 5th time they have defeated America in, I think, like around maybe 19 matches that they've had so far. So Yeah, this is interesting to see. This is the fifth time they have defeated America in the entire history as Atlético San Luis.
Right. Moving on to the other big match to watch this weekend was Tigres versus Necaxa. Tigres ultimately won via a very controversial 20th minute penalty call, right? Scored by Enrique Guignac there. Panovic's second match ahead of Tigres. I guess the first one, if you don't consider the Campeón de Campeones Cup, his first match here in Jornada 1. But not many changes for
No.
we obviously go for Tigres. We've seen at the end of the the Siboldi era how they were playing, very slow, very sluggish, very predictable, and very still dependent on a couple of their older players, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Guignac's penalty, obviously this would have been a 0-0 match. But how did you see this match, Adrian? Andre Pierre Guignac obviously got to 213 goals with Tigres, and just looks like even though age is catching up to him, he does not stop scoring.
I mean, he is a 38-year-old player who's still scoring, and I think he has. Correct me if I'm wrong. That I don't know this from the top of my head, but I think he has, like, throughout his entire story or history as a player, he has had the chance to shoot like 48 penalties, and he has scored 40 or 41, something like that. So that's a huge, great percentage rate for him on converting those penalty kicks. But I do want to say something. So when we were putting together this agenda, right? I On my first pass on this match, yes, I would say that I saw like a very sluggish Tigres team, very predictable, using the same tactics as Evaldi, not huge changes. But I was able to watch it a second time. And don't ask me how much time I have on my hands to watch it again, but because it's not that much. But I was able to watch it, not only highlights, but I noticed something slightly different from what Siboldi was offering. Siboldi liked to break the lines with a center back going from the bottom all the way to the last third of the pitch and becoming an offensive, like this X factor in the offensive, right? But with Paunovic, the thing that I saw is, yes, they had a lot of crosses. Like if you look at the stats, they had like 20 something crosses, 17 shots. What tells me this, and the biggest difference that I saw is with Siboldi, Tigres was doing this break with the center back, and the biggest issue was them not finishing the play or I guess that transition. What I mean with this is they were either getting the ball stolen or just choking at the very end, and that's when the counterattack of the opposition caught them off guard. And so in this case, they were actually finishing pretty much every single play they did, and that allowed them to not get counterattack and get in a bad spot when one of the center backs or one of the left backs or one of the midfielders break the line to become an additional offensive player. So that was interesting to see, but it took me, as I said, two views of the match, or two, I guess, a rewatch of the match to catch on this. So yeah, that's the only different thing that I saw with this Tigres. Yet no additions to the squad so far. We only heard of Fernando Tapia last week, which I think he will probably get some minutes before Nahuel Guzman becomes available. Once Nahuel Guzman becomes available, I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he's going to be the first choice. But we'll see if he can dethrone Carlos Felipe Rodriguez, who have a quiet match, but yet again, it's Jornada Uno against Necaxa.
Fernando Tapia is definitely one for the future. I think they're kind of investing in his growth there, and to be, I guess, Nahuel's replacement after the fact. But yeah, I mean, 1-0. You would expect more, but again, it's the first match, I guess, with Paunovic there in charge.
No excuses, man, but Jornada Uno.
Jornada Uno. We've seen Jornada Uno upsets in the past, so I mean, at least they got the one.
Mm-hmm.
The next match we're going to kind of discuss here is Pumas León. I guess the biggest goal difference between two teams here in the first Jornada,
Yes, sir.
and one where again the big highlight for me of that match was Memote scoring a goal where we would have liked to see it in the Copa America as well, but that's over, that's done with. But what can you tell us about this Pumas León match, man?
It was actually a nice match to watch. I think it was very dynamic since the very get go. The couple of things that I want to mention is, I don't know if you remember last year or 8 months ago, we made during one of our early episodes, shouting out the moves for Mexican players to Europe. We called out Jorge Rubalcaba, who went to Standard Liège, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, he didn't stay with Standard Liège after a year or after how many months he spent there. He came back to Pumas, and actually, dude, that sat well with him because he scored 2 goals in this match. He looked very, very quick on the offensive with Pumas. I think he will say he overshadowed Chino Huerta as one of the best players off the pitch for Pumas on this match. Chino Huerta looked kind of flaky, kind of not necessarily, in the rhythm to play. I'm not saying that he had a bad match. All I'm saying is we kind of sort of expect more from him, and this he didn't provide that intensity in this match. Um, if when we look at Leon, and we normally think of Leon as one of the contenders of the league, right? I think Leon's still looking very dire. If you look at last season, they weren't doing great. It doesn't look like this season is going to be an outstanding one for them. They're still missing Viñas, who's with Uruguay at the moment, getting ready to play the semifinals in Copa America. But very weak in the defense. Not so many additions to the team to bolster that defense or offensive in any way. And I think that they just were a huge flan for Pumas. I was not expecting a 4-1 on this match. I was expecting more of a 0-0, 1-1 kind of thing. But hey, Pumas showed up. They took advantage of it, and right now they're sitting, I think, at the top of the table, if I'm
One
not
goal
mistaken. But
difference.
yeah, but we'll look into that in a couple of minutes later. But yeah, man, I don't know what Leon is thinking because they have the World Cup, the Club World Cup in a year
Yeah.
or so, and things are not looking great. I think this is just for me. If I was a Leon fan on Jornada Uno, and I see people leaving, but no, because I think Mena, if I'm not mistaken, Mena left, and he went to Pachuca. They also got rid of Tecillo, if I'm not mistaken, their center back. So I see all these departures, but I see no additions to the team. So no purchases. So to me, if I was a Leon fan, this is to me a kick in the throat or una patada en la tráquea, as people would say.
Yeah, Leon is really similar to Pachuca in that small market team does well
Mm-hmm.
in international, concacaf, tournaments, obviously champions, right? But then as soon as they complete their run, they get just picked apart all their pieces, and I think we're seeing that now with Leon, who, like you said, lost a lot, but has replaced. Interestingly enough, you brought up Gino Huerta, a player who was, I agree with you, kind of mute that game, but did you see that? I guess that Fabricio was posting Romano that he's going to Europe.
Yeah, to Girona. I think
Yeah,
that's the biggest rumor that we're going around. But I don't know, man. I mean, Fabrizio Romano is saying that it's kind of sort of like almost a deal to happen. But pundits in Mexico are saying that it's kind of like cold right now. So I don't know who I should I believe. I really hope it happens. I really hope that Fabrizio Romano is right. I'm not saying that Fabrizio Romano is always right or always wrong. I don't know what his ratio of good or bad calls are, but um, listen, for Mexican players going to Europe, my take is I am not gonna say anything until I see the signature on that paper, right? Until I see the player with the
right.
freaking shirt getting, the doing the whole presentation with the new team. I'm gonna say yes, it's happening. For now, all rumors, and fingers crossed for Chino Huerta because it will be nice to see another Mexican player
Yep.
in La Liga.
But I guess finishing up that game, Memote's eighth goal for Pumas there,
Mm-hmm.
and good win for Pumas, 4-1, top of the table. Quick rapid fire recap here. Summary of the remaining matches, man. As we go through it, I guess Puebla beat Santos 1-0. Querétaro lost to Club Tijuana 2-1.
Good
Juárez and
match.
Atlas tied. Yeah, 2-2. That was, yeah, you're right. Tijuana Querétaro was an underrated one. Juárez Atlas tied 2-2. The most boring match, I think, of the year. I mean, of the Jornada 1, not of the year, but
Yeah,
Jornada 1, Guadalajara and Toluca, 0-0.
yeah.
Boring draw there.
Mm-hmm.
Cruzazul beat Mazatlan 1-0, even after getting a red card. And the final matchup of the Jornada, Monterrey beat Pachuca 1-0. Another, I guess, match that left a lot to be desired there, but Sergio Penales with the one goal, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
As
yeah, I
much
mean, any other points you want to talk about these matches here, rapid fire?
I mean, as much as I would like to go and through every single match and do a whole disambiguation, right? I cannot. But quick pointers here is, as you said, Chivas and Toluca disappointed big time. I agree with you. Had to be the most boring match of Jornada One, Jornada Uno. Monterrey Cruz Azul, yes, they clinched to a very valuable W on this Jornada Uno, especially Monterrey, who visited Pachuca, and is not an easy. It is not an easy stadium for, I guess, match for any
Right.
any of the two Regio teams. They always have a difficulty down there in Pachuca. And one thing that I do want to mention. Listen, I'm not a fan of Chicharito. I am also not a hater of Chicharito. I used to be a hater of Chicharito. Now I don't really care. I don't think he's a bad player overall, historically speaking. But man, he got booed by Chivas fans on this match when he got subbed in or subbed off. Sorry. And it wasn't like a unit, like a monotonous or huge boo. But if you were watching the match as I was, you could definitely hear that he got booed by a sector of the stadium. So that's interesting. The other factor that I want to throw in is the 2011 rule, which we haven't explained to our PPG fam just yet. We might do a video on it, we might not, but just so you know, this rule is it's making every single team in Liga MX to field players who are 20 years and 11 months of age or younger, and they have to accumulate a total of 1,000 minutes before the end of the regular season. So by the 17th week of Liga MX, every single team must have fulfilled 1,000 minutes with their players, and they also have a cap of minutes they can accumulate per match. So they can only accumulate 225 minutes per match, and not all players give you 100% of the minutes. So we'll go deeper in this. I don't want to bore people around this, but just so you know, those players who were born on 2005 or after, right? So 2006 and up, will contribute 100% of the minutes they play on the pitch. Last two things, Rodrigo Huescas looks like he will go. He didn't play with Cruz Azul because he's leaving. He's actually leaving to Copenhagen FC. That's a done deal. $2 million for Cruz Azul. People are making a lot of fuss because it was a very, it's an unheard of release clause for a Mexican team, for a Mexican player.
I mean, he signed that on purpose that way.
Yeah, I was reading that he didn't want to make like a contract renewal because he knew that it was gonna just go way up and hinder his ability to go outside of Liga MX. So good for him. I think he made the right choice. People are calling him out, saying that he didn't respect Cruz Azul or didn't allow him to capitalize on the investment they did on him. But come on, man. I mean, we all know what they were gonna do. They were probably gonna put like a 10 million clause on him, and it was only gonna be available for like Tigres or Monterrey or some shit like that. So to me, and people, at least from my perspective, he did the right thing. You go do it, Rodrigo Huescas. You go play out there, man, and find yourself. Do it. I think
interestingly, I was reading that any future sale, Cruz Azul is going to get a part of it. So we've seen plenty of times that Mexicans go to Europe, stay there 1 or 2 seasons, and then like the Linus come back, right? And they sign for another team, and they sign triple. I mean, once they have European experience, Tigres, Monterrey, America, whatever, pay, I don't know, they bought him for 2 million, they buy him for 8 million from Copenhagen or whatever, right? So if that happens, if he comes back in 2-3 years, Monterrey signs him for 10 million, Cruz Azul will get a portion of that. And interestingly enough, he mentioned that he was talking to Santi Jimenez about the move, kind of pumped him up about it. And Santi Jimenez was in fact at Estadio Azul this past weekend for Jornada 1. So he was there at the inaugural match for Cruz Azul this year. So I mean, that's another big plus. And I've been, we'll probably do a video on it, but there has definitely been a lot of the last week and a half, a lot of since Mexico got knocked out of the Copa America, a lot of rumors and a lot of transfers, possible transfers, and a lot of dual nationals kind of getting rejected by the USA and kind of showing promise to come to Mexico. Diego Luna not getting called up to the U.S. Olympics. Jogo kind of rejecting going to the U.S. Olympics, and he's been in talks with the Mexican Federation. Yep. So a lot of big moves for Mexico going forward if they all materialize.
Yeah.
But Adrian, man, what is the current tabla looking like for after Jornada 1?
Yes, sir. Right now, the super leader is Pumas with 3 points in a difference of 3 goals, right? Because they scored 4 and they got scored 1. I'm just going to go through 1 through 10 because that's what matters here. We have Pumas on first place, Club Tijuana on second, San Luis third, Monterrey fourth, Cruz Azul fifth, Puebla sixth, Tigres seventh, Atlas eighth, Juarez ninth, and Guadalajara number 10th. And that's it. Those are if we were to go into playoffs right now, the first 6 move on to the players directly, and then we have like a freaking what's the name of it? It's a wild card game, right?
Wild card game
between the 7th and the 10th. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about that right now. It's Jornada 1, so who cares?
And if we were to end the season right now, León would get relegated. Oh no, there's no relegation in Liga MX.
Scratch that. There's no relegation, and I don't think it's going to be relegation anytime soon.
Right.
For another video, not right now.
Yeah. Top scorers and key stats. We have 2 players at the top with 2 goals. Jorge Rubalcaba from Pumas and Mateo Kilmovics with San Luis. And then there's quite a few that are tied for third there with 1 goal apiece.
Yeah.
And assists, plenty of players there with the 1 assist. No one really taking the lead on that yet. Upcoming matches, Jornada 2, clubamerica Querétaro is the inaugural match Friday night of Jornada 2. After that, also Friday, Tijuana Guadalajara. And also Friday for another late match, Mazatlán San Luis. and Atlas and Tigres. And Saturday matches, León Pachuca, Necaxa Puebla, Toluca Juárez, and Santos Pumas. And the final Saturday match, again, Monterrey kind of wrapping up the Jornada 2. It's going to be a good one. Monterrey cruzazul there at the end.
That seems to be like the best match for Jornada 2. A couple of things here that I just want to mention, quick factoids. No Sunday matches, so that's kind of weird for Liga MX, but I have the assumption that they don't want to overlap with the Euros final and the Copa America final. And lastly, it looks like Atlas is going back to Friday nights when they play, at home. That was like a long-standing tradition with Liga MX. I remember being a kid and just going to bed at 9 on a Friday, turning on the TV, and I can see Atlas playing at 9:45 every single Friday at home. So that goes straight to my heart. That's a nostalgic move, but yeah, kind of.
You're one of the few guys watching that.
I guess so. They sucked. Yeah. Yeah.
Quick fire, I guess. A couple of other factoids. Luis Romo's first match back in a Cruz Azul jersey against against Rayados. It's going to be an interesting one there.
So we shall see if the love of the X happens in here.
Yeah, and I mean, should be a good one. I think that Tigres Atlas match Friday night is going to also be a decent one here. You want to kind of give your score predictions for Jornada?
Let's do it. Rapid fire, dude. Club America wins. I think Tijuana ties with Guadalajara. Mazatlán San Luis tie. Atlas and Tigres tie, I think. León Pachuca wins. Necaxa Puebla, Necaxa will take the win. Toluca Juárez, I think Toluca will take the win. Santos Laguna and Pumas, they will tie. And Monterrey beating Cruzazul, I think Monterrey will take the advantage by the slightest.
Okay, nice. If you guys agree with it, predictions here, let us know in the comments below. Definitely a lot of good matches coming up.
Don't use my predictions for any parlay. Yeah, this is not any advice whatsoever. Don't take my word for anything. I am not a betting guy.
Yeah, don't follow PPG's betting advice. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode of Jornada 1 of the Apertura for Liga MX 2024, obviously a segment we're going to keep going forward as the Jornadas progress here during the weeks.
Yes, sir.
Where can listeners find us, bro?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and clips of our episodes.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us in preferred social media platform of choice and let us know in the comments below. You excited for another, half season of, how they do the torneos cortos of Liga MX, Apertura kicking off. It's always exciting. Let us know who your team is. Let us know who you got, who you're going for and what you like to see about this league for sure. And let us know if you're still watching Copa America and the Euros. Who do you got winning that? Still watching. Still going to be interesting there. The Final Four for both tournaments. Yeah. So let us know in the comments below. And keep it here for any up-to-date news on the whole Triple G, Greg Berhalter, situation.
Yeah,
that's developing on the U.S. soccer side. Adrian, man, good episode. I'll see you in the next one, bro.
Always a pleasure.
Likewise. See ya.